Hey, it's Larana, and it's time for Rose Garden Radio, live from the very center of the universe, Canton, Ohio. Yay! I'm so glad I'm here, and what a great day. I can't believe it's Sunday already. This blows my mind. Yay. Anyways, if it's your first time to Rose Garden Radio, Rose Garden Radio is dedicated to helping you shift from what we call 3D, your life that you're living right now, to 5D, living more fully from our hearts and living our dream life right now, because it's totally possible and it's possible for you. So, anyways, we do that. But today you're helping me with my final edit of A Weekend with Aunt Larana and the Sisterhood of the Golden Rose. And I am getting ready to launch it onto Amazon soon and make that available to everybody. So I really appreciate it. So without any further ado, let me read a few pages to you. And again, thank you in advance. I know some of you sent, tell me or PM me or whatever, and I really appreciate your comments. So, the last time we were together, Aunt Larana and Ami were in France, and they were at a little bistro before the ambassadors' ball, and they had run into a woman that Larana knew, Elizabeth Lebrun, and she was just noticing the energy that was coming from Lorana and Amy. And so that's where I'm going to start. So just a tiny bit of a repeat, and then we'll get into the new stuff. So, hey. All right. This is Elizabeth speaking. Lorana, you must tell me immediately. I observe a very distinct change in you, she said, glancing over at me for a split second before continuing. Elizabeth looked like she could barely contain her excitement. You are both glowing with light. I can feel the energy you are emitting, and I see particles of light scattered all around you and your niece. And you are an only child, Lorana, so what's going on? Elizabeth asked, looking intensely back and forth between our faces as she waited for a response. I looked at Aunt Larana, wondering how she was going to handle this. As my aunt looked up and into my eyes, I felt the energy of our hearts collide, and in that instant, I knew she would keep our secret. Oh, Elizabeth, you have the true soul of an artist and an impeccable memory, she said, going on to explain. Amy's Ami's mother is one of my oldest friends, so she has always called me Aunt Larana. We are also extremely happy and all dressed up today because we will be attending the ambassador's ball tonight, Aunt Larana said in her soft musical voice. Well, perhaps I am being too dramatic. You know how I get overwhelmed by colors, light, and energy, Elizabeth said, seeming to have accepted my aunt's explanation. Just then, the curtains opened, and Andre magically appeared with a plate of freshly baked petite croissants. My appetite soared as I watched the butter ooze out of them. He then seemed to disappear just as quickly. I must paint you both. I am thoroughly inspired and have just a scene in my mind's eye. Allow me to make a quick sketch, Elizabeth said, reaching into her bag and pulling out a tablet and pencil. That will be perfect, since Ami and I are leaving very early tomorrow, Aunt Larana said, glancing over at me with a smile. Elizabeth began to sketch rapidly, creating a draft of two women in flowing gowns surrounded by fruit and herbs. I've been thinking of this idea for a few months now. It's based on more ancient times, and you two are my perfect models. I'm going to name it Peace Bringing Back Abundance. After you, Larana, since you exude such peace and always seem to bring about abundance. Speaking of abundance, Elizabeth, I know this is sudden, but I would like you to consider moving into my apartment since I will not be using them for a very long time. Everything will be taken care of for you. There are even accounts set up at nearby shops for you to use. I want you to keep all of them busy for me too while I'm away, Aunt Larana smiled. Andre returned, Andre returned, bringing a small cart laden with fresh asparagus smothered in cream sauce and an exquisite pasta dish mixed with sautéed mushrooms and fresh greens. Everything looked so healthy. He served us a small portion of each dish, then departed, leaving the platters on the table. Let me correct that. Let's see if I can get let's see. He served us okay, taking out an extra each. Thank you. Okay. I took a bite of the pasta and was surprised at how much I liked the unusual flavor. Something tastes like Graham's Christmas cookies, I said, trying to pinpoint the ingredient. It's the fennel. They have a similar flavor to anise, which is a spice that Graham used in those special holiday Pitzel cookies. Remember how she would roll them into little balls and press them into the Pitzel iron? There is one catch, Aunt Larana continued, turning her attention back to Elizabeth. I would like you to water my plants while you are living in my apartments. You know how much I love them, she beamed, thinking of them all. Just then I started to feel the same energy that I felt when I sat in Aunt Larana's sun porch with all those plants in the room. And I want you to dive fully into your art. No more painting reproductions and selling them in the square. You are a serious artist now, Elizabeth, Aunt Larana said with such confidence you could not help but believe it to be true. I felt Elizabeth's emotion before she spoke. Larana, I don't know what to say. Your generous gift has come at the most auspicious time and has taken me completely by surprise. I love the timing of it for you, and I am very genuine in my offer. You will have no financial obligations or worries while you develop this part of yourself, Elizabeth. I will arrange everything with my attorney tonight at the ball. But where will you go? And when will you return? Elizabeth practically wailed. I cannot say for sure when I will return, but when I do, it will feel just like tonight, like no time has passed between us, Aunt Larana practically whispered while smiling into Elizabeth's worried eyes. I could feel the love that poured out of their hearts into each other as I watched them while sipping my champagne. Here's to the sketch, Aunt Larana cheered and raised her glass, smiling brightly and shifting whatever melancholy that lingered into joy. Elizabeth and I joined her and raised our glasses, clinking them together as we all laughed and started to enjoy the meal. The rest of our time at the bistro flew by with small dishes of food arriving spontaneously. I rather liked this form of dining, I realized. Aunt Larana said the lemon tart that was served that night for dessert was the best in the world. It was light, buttery, and oozing lemon curd. Dark roasted coffee was also served along with it. When Elizabeth excused herself to use the salle de bain, I took the opportunity to tell my aunt what I knew. Aunt Larana, if I remember my art history correctly, Elizabeth Lebrun became a famous portrait painter. She has not mentioned anything to us about painting portraits. Amy, you are brilliant. What a good observation, my aunt said. I feel we should invite Elizabeth to go to the ball with us tonight too, I added. When she returned, my aunt seized the moment. Elizabeth, Ami and I insist that you join us tonight at the ambassador's ball. We will not take no for an answer, she said in a pleasant yet insistent manner. We will stop at my friend Rose's boutique, which is just around the corner, and you can choose a gown. She will have something already made that will fit you. And so it was decided. Larana, it's like a dream coming true. Again, I don't know what to say. Everything keeps getting better and better when I'm with you, Elizabeth said, beaming. After our dessert, we sauntered out into the early evening, feeling relaxed and alive. Philippe was right outside waiting to escort us, and we traveled off into the dusk as our living theater continued to unravel. Boop. Thank you so much. I'm going to keep working on this. We're working to the end, and I really, really, truly appreciate your help. Anyways, have a wonderful evening and enjoy, relax, revive, feel it all. Anyways, I love you, and until next time, I'll look forward to it. Bye bye.